Happy New Year's Eve. I don't know if people actually say that. I think they just say Happy New Year's, but I said it, so it's now a thing. Everyone go spread the word. Happy New Year's Eve, the last day of 2020. I can't wait for this year to be over. Even though I've met so many amazing friends through BookTube and Discord and Shelf Space in 2020, I'm just so ready for this to be over. But I'm going to link my gratitude tag here again. I did this earlier in November. And where I shouted out a whole bunch of my BookTube friends, some of my favorites. I'll link it here so you guys all go check them out. If you haven't already subscribed to them, go subscribe because they're just amazing and they deserve all the support. So anyways, carrying on with this video. So today is the last day of the Shelf Space Reindeer Games Readathon, and I finished Curse So Dark and Lonely last night, so I'm going to be starting in on a new book just to get some more pages in. There's no way I'm going to be able to finish this book today, but the pages will still count, so I'm giving Team Buddy everything I've got today. And I put out a poll on my book Twitter, and it was a unanimous vote for me to start in on The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. This is the first book in the Wheel of Time series, and I know Leslie at the Nerdy Narrative absolutely loved this book, and I can't wait to dive in. So I'm going to get to reading, and I'll check in with y'all again very soon. Bye. Hey y'all, it's Kate from Love Story, and I've got another book to open from Howard, the other half of Love Story, my love. And I am guessing this is book 2 in the Chronicles of the One series, year 1 by Nora Roberts. But you know what, let's just jump right in. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat this morning. Let's just jump right in and see if I'm right. It is book 2. So this one is called Of Blood and Bone. And now Howard tells me that this series gets better with each book. And so the first book 3 stars, so I can't wait to jump into this book. The last book kind of ended a little weird for me. So I can't wait to jump into this. I'll be starting this today. And I will check in with y'all again soon. Bye. Hey y'all, it's Kate from Love Story, and I'm checking in today on January 2nd, the second day of 2021. So I'm just gonna give a quick kind of warning, heads up that December completely wiped me out in reading vlogs because for some reason I had this great idea that I would do a reading vlog for every book I read, and that just tired me out so much. So this week and maybe next week, it's gonna be sparse reading in my reading vlog. It's just gonna be kind of my reactions as I come along instead of more detailed as I get. But I'm still gonna be doing them just to keep that habit going and that whatnot. So, but I'm also, because I'm starting this in the middle of this week, I'm just gonna combine the last day of December and the first couple days of January into next week's vlog. So you're gonna get December 31st through January 9th in this vlog, and hopefully it'll get better as the days go on and I get less exhausted. So there's 3 books now that we are reading, so I'm just gonna get right into it. First is Of Blood and Bone by Nora Roberts, and this was one of the books that Howard, the other half of Love Story, my boyfriend, had picked out for my TBR that I'm still working through. This is book 2 in the Chronicles of the One series, and so just 2 thoughts so far. In the prologue, we learned that this is year 4. It starts off with after all of that happened, so we've got a couple years in between the end of book 1 and now this book. And I thought after reading the prologue that Nora Roberts should have just started the series here and maybe made it a duology, because of what I have heard from Howard about book 3, that it would have been better just as 2 books. We didn't really need that first book because in the prologue in Of Blood and Bone, Robert summarizes everything that happened in year one, the first book. So did we really need that book? I don't think so. Especially since of Blood and Bone, the main character here, Phelan Swift, wasn't even hardly born yet in year one. Like, she was born at the very end of year one. She was the baby that Lena and Max created together, and that Simon Swift then raised. And so we didn't even know the main character of book 2 until the very end of book 1. So there's totally different characters. So I really think that she could have just started here and made it a duology and not had the whole trilogy and the series thing. But it happened, so that's where it is. That's my thoughts so far on Of Blood and Bone. Next we have The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, and this was the start of my buddy read prompt for the reindeer games in December, and like I said, I'm carrying it over to January because I'm not going to quit reading it just because December ended. And there's so many thoughts I have on this book so far. So in the prologue, my first thoughts is, first, there's a couple things I gotta show you. Give me some time. First, I love a book with a table of contents. Even if it's a novel like this, I just love that it's got a very detailed and exciting table of contents. That just gets me so excited. So now in the prologue, I am completely hooked from the first paragraph that I read of this prologue. It's such the writing is so detailed and so thoughtful and just fills with that feeling. You know exactly how you're supposed to be feeling just reading straight out from paragraph 1. And I love writing like that because it leaves no questions. You don't have to figure out how you're supposed to feel, what you're supposed to know. It tells you right in the writing, and that's really what writing is supposed to do, I feel like. Unless it's like a murder mystery suspense maybe, you should know how you're supposed to feel while reading the book, while actually reading the book. So I love that part. And then the prologue is great. I love the prologue. But then you get to, after the prologue, you get these couple of quotes at the beginning. And then you get maps. And y'all know how I love maps. And these maps are so detailed. There's so much into these maps. Like, these are some of the most detailed maps I've seen. And I just absolutely love them. And so the other thing I love about these maps is that it comes after the prologue, which is very different than what I've seen now. As you know, I don't have a lot of experience in fantasy books, but from the experience that I do have, a lot of times the maps come at the very start of the book. Before you get the prologue, before you get anything, you get like the title and then the map. Or sometimes even the map is like on the inside hardcover, and so you get it before literally anything else. But here you get the prologue, you get the backstory, kind of the legend of the stories, the characters, and then you get the maps, and then you go into chapter 1. And I thought chapter 1 gave us, like the prologue gave us a great setup of this legend that the characters in The Eye of the World are now talking about and dealing with. And then chapter 1 I thought gave us a great setup of the characters and the world and the setting and the time, and I just feel like I'm completely immersed in this world, and all I have to do is read in order to be able to live in this world. And I thought that was a great way to set up this book. And then the third book that I'm reading is a buddy read on shelf space with my friends Charmaine and Jeff and Katrina, and that is We Are Legion. And that is the first book in the Bobaverse universe, which is another sci-fi book about robots and stuff. And I am through chapter 1 in that so far, and I am absolutely loving it. It's got a great sarcastic protagonist, as far as I know so far he's the protagonist. And one quote I've already pulled out from We Are Legion is, "Can you hear disbelief?" Which is so great and so fitting for the time that that quote came out. So that's my check-in for now. I might check in later, or I might just wait till tomorrow. Probably just wait till tomorrow and get as much reading as I can. And I still got some other end of the year videos to film for 2020 and some more to plan for 2021. So stay tuned, exciting news coming soon, and I'll check in with y'all again very soon. Bye. Hey y'all, happy January 2nd, and I just have a really quick check-in right now. Just 2 of the books I'm reading I have a quick check-in for. So first, of Blood and Bone by Nora Roberts. In chapter 5, we see Phelan Swift call the bees to her beehive that she built with Malik, and this is an incredible scene because the bees all swarm around her, but in a friendly and almost protective and peaceful way. And she communes with the bees, and then she literally glows. And Malik, who is her kind of mentor, teacher, instructor, is amazed by this. And this scene, I just had to call it out because this is one of the best scenes I've read in Nora Roberts books. And granted, this is only my 3rd Nora Roberts book, but this scene was amazing. And then the other check-in I have is for We Are Legion, which is the first book in the Babaverse series. And so just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on in this book, because I haven't really explained the premise really. So in chapter 2 we get like the main kind of explanation, sort of. So Bob is our protagonist, and he's hit by a car as a human. He dies, then is frozen in cryo for like I think they said 117 years. So when he kind of wakes up, he is like the original Bob is dead, and he learns that he is a AI and a copy of someone else essentially. And so he's Bob, but he's not Bob, and so now he's got to learn how to deal with this and go through the classes on how to be this AI copy. And that's where I've left it. So I'm going to go and watch my friend Abby's live show for 500 subscribers. If you haven't already subscribed to Abby Salter Books, go subscribe. I'll put her link in here. She's almost at 600 now, and she is amazing. She's such a sweet person. I love her to pieces, and we're celebrating 500 subscribers today with her. So I'm going to go to that, and then I'm going to get back to reading, and I'll check in with y'all again soon. Bye. Checking in on Monday, January 4th. So I got just a couple check-ins from yesterday. I got a little bit done reading. I'm still recovering from reindeer games. I haven't got as much reading done as I usually do, but checking in. We've got a check-in on all 3 of the books I'm reading right now, so that is exciting. So in We Are Legion, the first book in the Babaverse book series, I pulled out this quote, and I thought it was really funny. It made me laugh. The quote says, "Since I hadn't actually asked for all of this detail, his outburst came as a surprise." And if you've ever talked to someone who shared too much information, then you know exactly what this is talking about. Now, on to Of Blood and Bone by Nora Roberts. So 2 things here. We see Phelan has a dream of Jonah and the crew saving people at essentially a detention camp. So if you remember from book 1, the quote, purity warriors have been capturing the uncannies, or people that were immune to the doom, and putting them in these camps or locations to test them and make them do stuff. And so in a previous chapter we see that Jonah and the twins and a whole bunch of other people, I think it was Bill Anderson also, they went and they basically rescued all of these uncannies and these people from this camp. And then in chapter 6 we see Phelan has a dream with this scene in it, and she is relaying that to Malik. And then there's a quote that I pulled out, and I believe this was Malik speaking to Phelan, and he says, "Faith is a sword and a shield as long as one bolsters it with courage and brains and muscle." And I just really love that quote. It's so important. You need both courage brains, muscle, thinking, knowledge. You need all of this to be a strong warrior. And it was just such a nice quote. One last thing that I forgot to mention in this chapter that's really important, I think, for this book and this series is that we see Sam Hammond. I think I'm probably totally butchering that, but the night where the veil between the living and the dead drops and you can be visited by different spirits. We see Phelan and Malik do this kind of ceremony, and then Phelan is actually visited by Max from book 1, who is dead, and he's Phelan's birth dad. And this was an amazing scene of watching them be able to connect in this way, and I just absolutely loved that scene so much. It was so touching and so well written. It was so far my favorite scene in this entire book, in the entire series. It was so good. And now our last check-in is for Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. And first let's talk about the scene with the Trollocs. This was insane, and I felt that fear and that rush and everything our characters were going through in that scene, having to go and into the house and get supplies and get the horse so he could save his dad. And that scene was just so well written. I felt all of the emotions in that scene, so I just had to give a call out to that scene, because sometimes those scenes are hard to do because you're not actually in that moment, especially in fantasy with all these made-up characters or creatures. So well done, Robert Jordan, on that scene. And then there's another quote that I pulled out from page 61 in my edition, and that says, "As silently as another shadow." And I just loved that, because you know just how quiet he's walking if he's as silent as a shadow. It was just so well done. I loved it, so kudos to that. That's my check-in for now, and I will check in with y'all again soon. Bye. And checking in today on January 5th. So this check-in is for yesterday, which was actually January 4th, but today is my boyfriend Howard's birthday and also our anniversary. So happy birthday, Howard, and happy anniversary, Howie. I love you, and you're the reason why I'm doing this booktube. You pushed me into it, so thank you so much for pushing me into it and hanging in with me during all of this. Anyways, now for our check-in. So on We Are Legion, I am going back and forth on this. I'm not enjoying it as much as I would like to. It's sitting at a 2.5 right now for me, and I'm hoping it'll get better, but I'm also thinking maybe I went in with too high expectations. And that's a general consensus on Shelf Space Discord on our buddy read, that we all had too high expectations, and a lot of us are comparing it to Murderbot, which we all loved, and this is definitely not Murderbot. For me, it has too much, it's bogged down too much in the lingo and the engineering terms and all of that, and I don't know any of those terms, so it gets me spaced out a lot, no pun intended. But I did get 2 quotes from my last reading, so I'm going to read those off. If I'd still had eyebrows, they would have shot right off my head. And in engineering terms, what was the metric used to describe Bob Hood? And these 2 quotes are good because they show the character of Bob, and that's the reason why I'm still reading this book. I love the characters in this book. I'm just not sure what the plot is really, what the story is, and like I said, it's too bogged down for me with all the engineering terms. But I'm gonna try to push through and keep reading, and I'll check in with it all on We Are Legion soon. Now on to Of Blood and Bone. I'm really enjoying this book more than I thought I was going to be. Definitely better than the first book. I just am enjoying this so much. So my check-in for this is that we've learned that there's some kind of a connection between Duncan, who's one of Katie's twins from the first book, and Fallon, and this is really intriguing to me. I can't wait to see what Nora does with this connection. I think with limited conversation with Howie, who's read and loved this series, this might be that romance that he's hinting at, but I can't wait to see how this develops. And then with The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, first of all, I was talking to Leslie at the Nerdy Narrative about this, and Robert Jordan's writing style is so different than anything that I'm used to, really. It's detailed, it's emotional, it's flowery at times, it's wordy, but I'm enjoying it so much. It's so different. I don't have the right words to do it justice, but I'm really enjoying it. So, we've learned that Rand's father is dying, and his fever talk says that he wasn't Rand's real father. So now Rand keeps saying in his head, like, you are my real father, I'm not gonna believe that you aren't, but there's that little bit of doubt that, well, maybe what if he isn't? And in chapter 8, we learn that Rand and his two friends that we met at the beginning of the book must leave town because this creature, I'm not even going to try to pronounce its name, is looking for boys of their certain age. And so then in conversation, we learn what that actually means. So Rand offers up other kids in the town and says, like, these guys are all around my age, so shouldn't they have to leave too? And Miriam, I forget her name, Moraine says, like, no, you're not getting it, just you three, because you're within like a week or two of each other. These other guys are months apart from you, so they don't count. It's this specific age, like this month, these couple weeks, and y'all have to leave town or else these creatures are gonna keep coming back looking for you. And so that's where I left The Eye of the World, and I can't wait to continue reading. But that's my check-in for now, and I'll check in with y'all again soon. Bye. Hey y'all, it's Kate from Love Story here, and I'm just got a really quick check-in. So because of the burnout from reindeer games in December and the nature of this week and just this month in general so far, I haven't gotten a lot of reading done. My reading pace has been a lot slower lately, but I did get a little bit in, so I've just got a couple check-ins. So in We Are Legion, which is the Bobaverse book, and I'm reading that on ebook, now we're getting the different point of views from the different Bob clones, and so it makes it slightly more interesting, but it also, they all seem the same to me. There's no difference, which I guess it's like, they're all Bobs, so they're not going to be very much different, but the way that they talk about each other is that they're very different from each other. So I'm a little confused at, like, I want to see more diversity in the different point of views to make it different Bobs, and we're not have to be told that this is different, this is this Bob, this is this Bob. So that's where I'm at with We Are Legion. I'm pushing through trying to finish this, but it's also one of those where it's like, we'll see. Then with Of Blood and Bone, this is getting better and better as it goes on. I'm getting really interested in this book. And so now we've learned that Phelan was able to heal a broken bone with her mind, and she's also able to kind of share that pain. She's able to take some of that pain into herself that other people are feeling. And this is important because this is yet another development in her power. So we see her growing stronger and stronger and gaining more and more powers as the One, and so that is really exciting. And then today, because today is January 7th, and because of everything that's happened yesterday in the US, I haven't really felt much like reading, and I haven't been able to really concentrate on a lot of reading. So this morning I took advantage of my free 2-month trial with Audible, and I started an audiobook. It's A Promised Land by Barack Obama, and I've been wanting to read this book ever since I knew it was coming out. So I'm excited for it, and just Barack's voice is just so calming to me and so peaceful and just kind of like a hug. So it just felt like, this book just felt like that book for the right moment that we're in right now. So I just started that this morning, and so far I'm just enjoying being wrapped in Barack Obama's voice again. And so that's it for now, and I'll check in with y'all again soon. Bye. Hey y'all, it's Kate here. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, January 8th. Since it's Friday, I'm checking in from the office, as you can see. I've just got a couple points to check in on from yesterday. So I'm just going to get right to it. So yesterday I started A Promised Land by Barack Obama, which is his new memoir. And I started the audiobook, and his voice is just so soothing to me, so therapeutic. I love listening to Barack Obama speak. So this book, the other thing that I love about this book so far is that last year I listened to the audiobook of Michelle Obama's memoir, Becoming. And so now with Barack's memoir, I'm kind of getting both sides of a lot of the things that they both wrote about. And so it's great to see, first we had Michelle's side of it on Barack's political career and how he just kept rising, and now we get Barack's point of view, and he's like, yeah, I know Michelle hated it, and she said, I do not want you to run for president or Senate, but this is what's happened. And so it's really fun to see both sides of that. So I'm loving this book so far. Now on to Of Blood and Bone. We've got a couple points here. So Phelan now can understand all these different languages. She understands Welsh and Irish and Gaelic, and she doesn't know how she does, but she can. And I pulled out this quote from page 212 in my copy, which says, "Language is only thoughts put into words." And that's Malik talking to Phelan. And it's so important to remember that. We all speak words. It's just a matter of understanding the language that's there. But we're all saying the same thing, essentially. And then in the next chapter, we get Phelan and Malik go to a North Carolina beach, which is fun because I'm in North Carolina now, as you know. And they go to this kind of abandoned, essentially internment camp. And Phelan is able to call on the gods and ask for them to show her exactly what happened. And she sees that it was a fire produced by one of the Uncannies and just retaliation on everything that these people did. The Purity Warriors did to these Uncannies. And everyone was killed in this fire, including the person that set off the fire. And then my last check-in for now is on We Are Legion. And sadly, I have decided to DNF this book for now. I made it to about 45% of the ebook, and it just wasn't feeling right for me. I couldn't get into it. It felt like there was no plot still, even almost halfway through the book. The characters were just kind of meh. And, like I said in a previous check-in, we were getting all of these different points of views, but they all felt like still the same character. And it wasn't interesting, and there was too much engineering lingo, and I just couldn't get into it. So I've DNF'd it for now. I may return to it at some other point because I'm told that it has an amazing audiobook, so I might go back to that with the audiobook. But it's DNF'd for now, and moving on to a new book this weekend. I will likely start Addie LaRue tomorrow. I can't wait. That's our Love Story Discord buddy read, so I can't wait for that. But that's it for now, and I will check in with y'all again soon. Bye. Hey y'all, checking in on Saturday, January 9th. So I've gotten through a little bit more reading, which is good because I was feeling in a slump, but now I'm back. So in A Promised Land by Barack Obama, I'm enjoying this audiobook so much. I just love, like I said, I love listening to Barack's voice. It's just therapeutic and calming for me, and it's just so good. But one of the things that Barack had written in his book that I really thought was poignant was he was talking about when he was trying to decide when/if to run for president, and I forget who it was, but one of his advisors one of the people that kept encouraging him to run said, I know it's not a convenient time. It's never a convenient time, but this is the time that our country needs you. And that was so true. I remember the feeling of relief when Barack was elected, and that maybe finally our country would change. And for a little bit, there was that hope that his campaign gave us. And that quote just really set well with me, especially with considering things going on right now and Joe Biden becoming president in the next week and a half, January 20th. And I look forward to just, I know things aren't going to change instantly, just like they didn't do with Barack, but just knowing that we have a president coming in who actually cares about people and wants to help people, just like Barack was. That quote really just reminded me of, Joe Biden coming in. And then we see Barack interacting with Joe Biden and bringing him on his team and everything, and just everything he describes Joe Biden as, this welcoming guy. He wants to be able to talk to everyone and touch everyone's lives and just be there for everyone, just give you a sense of good feeling. And so I really loved that in A Promised Land by Barack Obama. Next up we have Of Blood and Bone, and in this we've gotten, so Phelan has been able to see into the crystal. Before now it's just been murky and she hasn't been able to see it. Now she can see in the crystal, and she sees essentially the past. She sees the raid on New Hope and all of that happen, but she can also like travel through, essentially through the stone, so it kind of takes her into it. And so at first she was able to go back to the past and like talk to her mother as Lena was struggling to carry on with Phelan in her womb, and she's able to give her that reassuring bit to keep pushing. And then we learn that she was able to see kind of the future and this raid that the New Hope people are going on, and she sees that like the Purity Warriors already know about it, and they kind of just slaughter them. So Phelan is able to travel through the stone on the big giant horse that she found, and warn our New Hope people about this, that these Purity Warriors already know they're coming and they're set up for an ambush, and so she's able to kind of direct them into a different way, and their raid is successful. But now they know that the prisoner they have has lied to them, and Will thinks that there is a spy in it. So I'm really enjoying seeing this develop and where it's going, and this has become like that book that I just want to keep reading now. So I can't wait to see where this goes, and also see what book 3 has in store. So then lastly we have The Eye of the World, and this book is one of those books that I don't necessarily think of exciting like when I'm thinking of it, but when I'm reading it, I'm excited about it and I'm enjoying the reading. It's hard to describe, but so our characters have gotten out of the little village that they're from, and now they're on the road essentially, and we've got a new place. So what's exciting is we have a new map now, and that's really cool. It's not just at like the beginning that Robert Jordan didn't just put all of the maps at the beginning, but he sprinkled them throughout the book, I'm guessing. I mean, this is the first time where we get a new map, but I'm guessing that happens throughout the book, where we come across a new place, so we need a new map. So we don't have to like flip back to the front or the back where maps usually are to see this new place. We can just see it right at the start of that new place. So that's really exciting. And that's my check-in for now. So Today is Saturday, so I'm gonna go and edit this and put it all together, and it'll post later today. And that's it for now. So keep reading. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share with all your friends, and we'll see y'all soon. Bye.